the Lympha Press Leadership Series, where we shine a spotlight on the people that are making a difference in the worlds of lymphedema, CVI, wounds, lipedema, and many of the people we're interviewing, you know by name or you know by their affiliations, but we want you to get to know them. And actually, Dean Bender is somebody I have interacted with for years in my role as the marketing person for Lympha Press, but never had a really good one-on-one conversation with him. And that ends today. Dean Bender from AVLS, welcome.
Well, thank you, Brenda. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
So for those who are uninformed, and we do have two audiences today, both clinicians and patients, I don't like to talk in hieroglyphics. So for the uninformed, what is AVLS and then also FVLD?
Well, sure. So, it's always easy to just combine things into simple letters. AVLS, the American Vein and Lymphatic Society. So the AVLS is a medical professional society. We're about just over 1,800 members. We've been around for 38 years now. Went through a name change in 2019. We used to be known as the American College of Phlebology. And I know our patients out there are probably going, phlebology, what is that word? And that was part of the identity. And the reason that we wanted to change was to be able to better exemplify who we are, what we stand for. And at that time really, identified the fact that there is a need for a professional society, a membership society for those interested in lymphedema. And so lymphedema became a key component of our association's name. So that's the AVLS, that's the membership society side of things. And that's where everybody gets together and they volunteer. We have committees, we execute a lot of different projects in a variety of areas. And we'll talk more about that, I think, as we go on. The FVLD is the Foundation for Venous and Lymphatic Disease. The foundation's been around since 2004, 2005. It was created in order to allow us to make investments, extraordinary investments into the field of venous and lymphatic medicine. And we've pursued a variety of activities over the years. So the foundation's job is to go out and raise money. We raise in a variety of ways. We raise money from both the corporate community as well as the membership. And we utilize those funds to do things that the society in and of itself is unable to achieve. So we've been pursuing board certification. We created, with the funding from the foundation, the Pro-Venous Registry, for example. So some big, extraordinary, expensive projects, and the foundation allows us to do that and advance the field for everybody involved.
And I know our president from Lympha Press, Eric Ansart, is one of your board members for the
Yes, he is. And he's been fantastic, a great contributor to the board. And we're just grateful to have him and his knowledge and experience as we look for where the future is taking us.
So the AVLS annual meeting is one of my favorites because it is a literal who's who of who is breaking new ground. It's where you hear about the latest research and the thought leaders that are really pushing the envelope. And it's just, you've done such an amazing job with it. But let's talk about you for a minute. How in the world did you end up with AVLS, and what's your background?
So yeah, I've been in the medical community. I've been in the world of venous and lymphatic medicine since early 2004. Came to the space as a global head of research and development in compression therapy for Jobst, and began learning a lot about compression, both in venous disease, lymphatic disease, chronic wounds, those kinds of things. And then over the course of the next 14 years, really spent most of my time in the world of compression therapy. Now, I had some responsibilities in orthopedics, fracture management type products, casting, those things. But I would say at the core of the heart of my medical background, it's really around compression therapy and all of its multifunctional uses, both from the medical side. Now we're seeing compression utilized in sports recovery and all kinds of places. We now see compression, and it's really become a mainstay of a more technical textile type product. Now, shortly after getting involved in the field, I became affiliated with, at the time, the American College of Phlebology and the foundation, and the creation of the foundation. And the company I was with at the time, I'm pausing because of my dog. Hopefully we can edit that out.
We can
I don't know
definitely
if you
edit.
can hear him or not, but he's started barking in the
What
other
kind
room.
of dog do you have, Dean?
He's a Maltese Shih Tzu mix, cute little guy. Was a rescue dog that we picked up about 8.5 years ago, almost 9 years ago now. So, but he loves to let us know when people are out in the yard, the postman, the garbage man.
Of course, good guard dog,
Exactly.
fierce little guy.
He's a great watchdog, horrible guard dog, great watchdog.
Well,
but anyway, so
we'll get back with that question. So you were involved with the formation of the foundation.
Correct.
You were involved with AVLS. From the outside looking in, I know that there was an extensive search for the executive director. So how did those dots connect?
Well, sometimes, things in this world work out in very interesting ways. So I was serving on the foundation board in 2016 when our previous executive director retired. He'd been with the society for some 25, 26 years. And the board of directors for the American College of Phlebology at the time, the AVLS, began to undertake its search for a new executive director. They recognize that doctors aren't necessarily the best or have the experience of hiring a chief executive. So they asked me to serve on the search committee. And so I volunteered to do that and was involved as we started looking for the next executive director. After several months, and it's a challenge. I mean, I love my doctors and they're fantastic and they're brilliant in a lot of ways, but yeah, it's a challenge when it comes to some of these more business aspects and how to do things and what's the right way to go through. We got to 2017 during the search, and finally I was kind of frustrated with the process, to be straight up. And then I just realized, wait a minute, I don't need to complain. I just need to jump in. I've got the skill set. I've got the background, the experience. I know the society. I'm a member of the society. Love the society and want to see it, and decided, it's time to throw my hat in the ring, and decided to change careers, and ended up getting the position now 5.5 years ago. And
I bet there was a collective sigh of relief when you finally threw your hat in the ring. You're like, I'm searching, and I've got, and I love what you said, and you had love for the organization.
Yes, you make friends. It's really a neat community. I mean, we're, it's 1,800 members, but it's a small community, right? And that's really not a lot of people when you think about the greater scheme of things, and the friendships that I developed, and the different meetings and the opportunities, to not only from a business perspective to get to know people, and from a medical perspective of what they do and how they do and how I could assist with my knowledge and experience, but even at a friendship level, right? And I've got some of my closest friends now are, members of the society, they're past leaders, and I just enjoy talking food or movies or golf or fishing, or, just you start to do life together with them. And so, yeah, it is a love for what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve. And so, yeah, I was fortunate enough to, decide I wanted to do this, was looking for a new challenge in life, and the society decided to take a chance on bringing somebody from the commercial world over to a nonprofit, and we've had a lot of fun. We've done a lot, and we a lot of challenges are still out there in front of us, but it's exciting. So,
ooh, and that's where we're going to go next. Okay, you basically have said this, but I want to stick to my script here. Sure. What would you say your organization's mission or core values are?
So, and this really developed over time, but it became real clear when we went through the process of, rebranding the society. We changed our name, right? So I joined mid-2017. In early 2019, we announced the name change. And with that, really, define who we are, what we're about, what we want to do. Why does the society exist? And it's we are advocacy, research, and education in the world of venous and lymphatic medicine. We're a professional society, right, of medical professionals, physicians, therapists, nurses, technologists, all that have a central interest in venous and lymphatic medicine. While at the core of everything we do are our patients, what we're doing, what we're trying to achieve, our existence is really, though, centered around the field, the membership, the clinicians. It's making sure, and I would say at the core of our mission is making sure that patients have access to not only appropriate care and treatment, but the highest quality care and treatment. So we really focus on the clinician. How do we make sure they know the latest, the greatest, what the new technologies are, procedures that they're learning, that we're constantly raising the standard of care in the field so that ultimately when patients find the appropriate care, right, they're getting the best care possible to do that. So we're not a patient-focused society directly, but always at the core of everything we do is the patient and the assurance that they're going to get the best care that they can. And we do that with research. We have a large data registry. We're trying to learn what's going on, what can we learn about appropriate treatments, what the outcomes are, how the patient's outcomes are going, et cetera. Education, right? The annual Congress you mentioned is a great forum for that. But we also do regional courses. We have an extensive digital library of courses. We've invested in the last couple of years in virtual reality, where we're doing near live education now, so that clinicians, nurses, doctors can actually, zone into a clinic somewhere and see an expert do hands-on treatment, those kinds of things. So education has always been at the center of what we do. And then I mentioned this term advocacy, right? And a lot of what we're doing as well now is advocating on behalf of the field, our physicians and that, but also the patients, to make sure that insurance payers and policymakers are providing appropriate access for patients as well, because ultimately, you can have the best clinician that knows what to do, but if the patient can't find them or can't access them or can't afford care, then they go without, and we've seen that and continue to see that. So we spend a lot of time focused on national policy issues, working with Medicare, Centers for Medicare Services, CMS, et cetera, and trying to make sure that everybody is taken care of in the field.
Why is what you do important to patients? You've already answered it. And I love, at Lympha Press, we love giving patients hope and help. And knowing that there is an organization committed to advocating the causes to help them treat these chronic conditions, it inspires hope. So I love that. And for the clinicians, how do they find you, connect with you, benefit? If there is a clinician watching today, what's the takeaway? What do they need to know about AVLS?
I think first and foremost, right, as a society, right, we come together and we bring people of like interest and give them, an opportunity to help shape and make a difference to the field for the good of everybody, right? So if you want an opportunity to give back, right, and just first off, being a member makes a difference, right? It gives us the financial resources that we need to, send people to DC or, wherever they need to go to accomplish things, to develop new educational tools, those kinds of things. So, if you're not a member, become a member, right? It makes a difference. Numbers matter. When we're, reaching out and we're talking to Blue Cross Blue Shield and we're representing, 1,800, if we could represent 2,000, right? It makes a difference. With that, but more so what a society does is gives you the opportunity to engage with your peers and do something and accomplish. So, volunteer, get involved. We have a whole variety of committees, whether that's in advocacy, research. We're producing, new papers if you have an interest in research. different educational courses, things that you can do that will make a difference, right, in the end. And we're totally dependent on the volunteers. I've got a staff of 11 people. Our job is to help the volunteers accomplish what they want, right? Our mission, our vision, our goals are what, the membership comes and tells us this is where we see the future going. And then our job as staff is simply to try to help facilitate that, bring in some professional skill sets that make a difference. But if you're looking for a professional society, a place where you can interact, mingle with others, learn from others, right? We have the My AVLS community, we call the MAC, right? And this is an opportunity where our members, engage, and they'll bring up cases and talks. And what do you think about this? How do we do this? I've got a patient that looks like this, and you're able to, develop those relationships and share experiences with each other, both in a digital format when we're together in annual Congress, and really build that network. So that's a long answer to,
it's a good answer. And I think it really helps
people together, right?
Yeah, sure. Because when we operate in silos, we pinch ourselves off from growth, from new ideas, from the evolution of what we've committed our careers to. So I think that's fabulous. But I want to ask you, when you think about your career at AVLS, is there a high point, a success story that encapsulates your mission at work, a success story?
Wow, I could probably pick 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things that
I know it's a tough question. Can you just think, what's the one that when you love telling this story?
Sure. Probably, and this may be a little higher level. I may come back and get a little more detail for you here in a second. But I would say the renaming of the society is probably one of those achievements that I feel most proud about. And because it comes from years, even when I was still in the commercial side, before I took on this role of executive director, recognizing the importance of lymphedema, right? And how this ties together, and watching this develop over the years. I mean, in 2004, when I came into this space, right, and you were talking about silos, right? You had venous disease over here, and you had lymphedema over here. Lymphedema was only something therapists really talked about, doctors never talked about, kind of thing. It was very, very disconnected world. And as we began to develop our knowledge and understanding of the vascular system and how these things interact, and now, we have terms like phlebolymphodema, right, where you have, lymphedema resulting from venous disease and these kinds of things, and how all of this came together, and that recognition. And so early on, when I first joined the society, we surveyed our members, and I can remember, again, go back 2004, most of the membership, and particularly the physicians, probably couldn't spell lymphedema, much less diagnose it. By 2017, we had 70% of our members responding that they see lymphedema patients in their practice every week, right? Now, they may not necessarily know what to do, how to care for them, what's the best approach, but at least they could identify it, diagnose it, and hopefully point them in the direction of appropriate care. And then with that, this recognition that there really isn't a professional society, an area where everybody can come together. In the world of lymphedema, there's some great organizations and a lot of support around the lymphedema therapist, right? And the knowledge, the education, the things they do, but it's, again, disconnected from the physicians and getting them. And so our goal has been, the crowning achievement was changing the name and making lymphedema just as important to what we do and what we stand for as venous disease, but bringing everybody together. So it's the physician, it's the therapist, it's the advanced practice provider, it's the technicians, right? Bringing all of these people together, because you're talking about a chronic condition that's got to be managed for years and years. It's not a simple specialty treatment, boom, you're done, and the patient goes on, right? And in order to provide that kind of care, it's very comprehensive in nature, and it requires all of those. So I think that was just a great moment where we put, a stake in the ground, and we still got a lot of work to do, a lot of areas to go, but I would center it right around that as something I can look back at and, kind of go, hey, we've achieved something that I had part of that vision back a decade earlier. Right. So
I love it. And I remember the first time I met you, I said, who was the mastermind behind that name change? Because it changed. It was way more than a name change. So kudos to you for that. I agree. It was a wonderful success. So what's on your wish list for the future, Dean?
Oh, let's see. You gave me that question ahead of time, and I had to think about it. And, a little bit of when you say what's on my wish list, right? And it's sitting in the role of executive director, right? In the job of, it's really the wish list of our leaders, our members, right? And where we're going and what we're trying to do. And I think, the next step, and it's something we started, almost 20 some years ago now. And it's the crowning achievement. And that is the creation of the medical specialty in venous and lymphatic medicine, where we're recognized by the American Board of Medical Specialties, ABMS. That's an organization that declares, okay, you are a standalone medical specialty. And we desperately need venous and lymphatic medicine to be a standalone specialty, just like vascular surgery or dermatology or sleep medicine, which is one of the more recent boards to be recognized by the ABMS. And venous and lymphatic medicine needs to achieve that. If we're going to assure in the future that we're educating doctors earlier in their career, that, payment and policy and, Medicare and all of those people recognize what we're doing and why we're doing it, right? You kind of have to have that crowning achievement moment where everybody says, no, this is a standalone specialty. Young doctors coming out of residency can say, I want to specialize in this earlier in their career. And that's really where we're headed in the future. Is everything we do ultimately will be, achieved when we achieve that recognition, right? When we finally get there and it is a standalone medical specialty, I think will be exciting. And I think it'll make a huge difference in how patients are cared for in this country. It'll be very easy to find, the directories, all of that. Right now, it can still be, you're still hunting as a patient, I think, in a lot of times to find an appropriate caregiver that really knows and understands. And when you can see that board certification there, then I think, we will have advanced things significantly. And that may be a good time to think about retirement and playing golf and all of those good things.
Hey,
we still have years to go. Though, so.
And here's the thing. A leader needs to have a vision, and you clearly articulated your vision. But the interesting thing about leaders, once you achieve one vision, you see another one on the horizon, and there's always something new to inspire you. So I love that answer. And I think it's something great to look forward to and to achieve. What's the one takeaway you want to leave with our audience today, Dean?
So I think two things, right? And let me talk to, let's start with the clinician side, right? And we mentioned earlier in the questions, and, if you're not part of the AVLS today, become part. We need you, right? You can make a difference. It's a great opportunity to give back to the field, to influence new and young, clinicians and physicians. And there's just so much opportunity there. And so we want you to become part of what we're doing. And if you're already a member, thank you. You make a difference. Now let's get you engaged, right? If you're not serving in the committee, we need you, right? The work of the society is done by you, not me and my staff, and kind of thing. So get involved, get engaged, become a member. The patient side, as you look at the AVLS, and then if you look at the foundation and the funding that we develop and create for investment and all of that, I just want you to know that at the core of all of it is you, right? It's our core mission is to make sure that you have access to the best care, the most current knowledge of what's the best way to take care of your condition, your treatment, wherever you may be in the progression of your disease. And so, while we may not, talk to you directly a lot, please know that at the end of the day, if you can find a physician, if you can find a healthcare team that has the knowledge and expertise to take good care of you, that we're behind that and making that happen.
So with that, how can people, all the people we've just talked to, find you? Where do you direct them?
So the best source is to go to www.myavls.org, myavls.org. And you can find everything there. You can click through, get straight to the foundation. You can see, we do have some patient resources, things of that nature there as well. If you want to learn what the society is doing, how things are going on, different position papers, all of that is housed right there. It's the best place to go to get engaged, whether that's to volunteer, whether that's to donate money, to become a member, however you want to engage with us, myavls.org.
I have a better understanding of AVLS, and I've been attending those conferences every year. This was a great interview. Dean Bender, thank you for all you do for AVLS. We started calling this the Leadership Series, but I almost wanted to call it the Legacy Series, because these are people that are leaving a legacy that is going to help so many people in future generations too. So I want to thank you for your work. It's an honor to interview you. And to all of you who are watching, if you know of another leader that should be featured in this series, please reach out to me, bviola@lymphapress.com. We would love to shine a spotlight on them as well. And with that, everyone, have a great day.